A manhunt for a triple shooting suspect shut down an entire eastern Kentucky school system.
Students at Model Laboratory School are showing their appreciation for Richmond police. Now they're saying thank you to the department.
It has been exactly 6 years since a young Pulaski County man was murdered. His case is still unsolved.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening to you. A man is in jail tonight in connection with a deadly triple shooting in eastern Kentucky. That shooting happened just after midnight last night on Hoscat Lane in the Pine Ridge community of Wolfe County.
Police searched for the suspected shooter, Preston Wilson, for hours this morning. The manhunt even caused schools in Wolfe County to cancel classes today. But Wilson later turned himself in at Hazard Appalachian Regional Hospital. Sean Moody is tracking the investigation in our top story at 5:30.
Kentucky State Police said this whole thing started right around midnight. They said they got a call that there had been a shooting at a home on Hoscat Lane in Wolfe County. That started a manhunt that went for nearly 12 hours and shut down schools across the county. State police say Preston Wilson shot 42-year-old David M. Spencer inside the basement of M&S Log Homes in Wolfe County. They say Spencer was living in that basement. Kentucky State Police say it's lucky that Spencer was able to get away from that building. They say he drove here to the Shell station where he was able to get help.
Yes, I mean, this is kind of a touchy area as far as when it comes to cell service, but as we stated earlier, it is a good thing that he was able to flee the scene.
Police said they were able to get some valuable information from Spencer.
He was able to communicate with us and able to ID the shooter as far as actually the shooter who actually shot him.
But when state police got back to the scene, they found that 2 more people had been shot. Spencer's father, David L. Spencer, and Brenda Hatton. Hatton died. Both Spencers were rushed to UK Hospital, and police began searching for Preston Wilson. While police searched for him, Wolfe County schools closed. Wilson turned himself in late this morning. He's now charged with 1 count of assault. State police are still investigating. In Wolfe County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
And there's no word on how the Spencers are doing at UK Hospital this afternoon. We're tracking a developing story out of central Kentucky. A Jessamine County community mourning the death of a first responder tonight. Jessamine County paramedic John Mackey died this morning at UK Hospital days after being hit by a car while on duty. A procession bringing his body from the hospital back to Nicholasville is underway right now. We'll have the latest on how Mackey is being honored coming up on WKYT News at 6 o'clock.
4 people charged in connection with the murder of a Richmond police officer have answered to the charges. Raleigh Sizemore is charged with murder of a police officer for the death of Officer Daniel Ellis. The 3 other people face charges connected to the case. Gregory Ratliff is charged with complicity to commit murder. Rita Creech and Carl Banks are charged for their role in the robbery Officer Ellis had been investigating. All 4 entered not guilty pleas today. Meanwhile, even the youngest members of the Richmond community are reaching out to our men and women in blue. Some students at the Model Laboratory School on EKU's campus received a lesson today in thanking law enforcement. Rebecca Smith shows us how the students are saying thank you to the Richmond Police Departments.
These 4th graders put pen to paper Monday to say thanks to the Richmond Police Department.
I know it's been hard because Officer Ellis has died.
They don't understand why Officer Daniel Ellis was shot and killed in the line of duty, but they do recognize the importance of those brave men and women here to serve and protect.
So it kind of empowers them and helps them not feel as afraid.
This is not the first time that the students here at the Model Laboratory School have thought to thank members of law enforcement. When EKU had that threat a while back, these students actually sent letters out to EKU Public Safety.
One of those public safety officers is Chet Wright.
I love the kids, they love me.
Wright says he's seen the kids' thoughtfulness firsthand in the 6 years he's been assigned here.
And they never cease to amaze me. Every day they do something that brings a smile to my face and it makes it worthwhile coming to work every day.
We appreciate it. Thank you again. From Model 4th grader Kylie Fertile.
Thank you, Kylie.
In Richmond, Rebecca Smith, WKYT.
Those letters will go in goodie bags that will be handed out to Richmond police. They're very true, very honest words from those kiddos today.
I love the hug that she gave him. That means a lot. Now the weather, it's some wet Monday out there as rain continues to move across the region tonight.
But once the rain moves out, we could see some better weather, but not for long. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look now at your forecast.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs in this pattern, guys. And literally every couple of days, we're going to get a storm system thrown our way. Now, the one today isn't necessarily a strong one, just giving us a little brush with some shower action into much of central and eastern Kentucky. Though we look at the temperatures across the land, look at this big difference, down to 46 into Danville, Lexington dropping. We'll see 40s showing up again across parts of the metro here soon. Yet just down the road into London and southeastern Kentucky, we are tickling the 60-degree mark, so a 10 to 15 degree spread in thermometers in just a couple of miles. What Defender Radar Network is tracking, steadier rains across parts of the Louisville area into parts of central Kentucky now. Some lighter rains beginning to crank back up from Richmond into the south side of Lexington. And we'll see at least a light shower, if not some sprinkles here. Hamburg Pavilion and much of central and eastern Kentucky. Double barrel area of low pressure, say that one a few times, into the southeastern corner of the country. That'll continue to pull on out of town. For the rest of the evening, just an isolated shower with those temperatures dropping into the mid and the upper 40s from west to east. When I get back in just a few minutes, you mentioned that little bit of a break not lasting for long. Well, we'll show you how a big storm system in the Plains states could spell some severe thunderstorm troubles for parts of the Bluegrass state. That's when I come back in less than 10.
A southern Kentucky family is hoping a somber anniversary will help them get some justice. 6 years ago today, a young Pulaski County man was murdered.
And so far, no one has been arrested for Kevin Price's death. But as our Phil Pendleton tells us, Price's family and police are optimistic they will find the answers they're looking for.
Pictures capture moments in time.
I had a soft spot in my heart for Kevin.
It was 6 years ago today, on a Monday afternoon in November, that 21-year-old Kevin Price was last seen alive.
We live it over and over and have for 6 years.
The photo of Price and his grandmother, Leela Whitaker, would be their last Thanksgiving holiday together. The photo is now a large throw, a reminder of a much happier time.
I have felt Kevin's presence. I felt his hand on my shoulder one day when I looked in the sky and asked him if he was up there.
Price's burned pickup truck was found in one location. His burned remains miles away nearly a month later. Weeks turn into months, months into years, and still no one has answered to the crime.
I do have renewed faith that this case may be solved. I hope it's in my lifetime.
Yet Pulaski County Sheriff Greg Speck does not call this a cold case.
Optimistic about this case.
He says this case and every other unsolved case is receiving a lot of renewed attention.
I think there are people out there that know about this case, and I think there are people out there that have information about this case.
The key is now simply convincing them and making a pathway for them to come forward. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The Price family tells us that there is a substantial reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of those responsible in Kevin Price's murder. New tonight, police are trying to figure out what caused a deadly crash in Knox County. It happened about 5:30 this morning on US 25E in the Flat Lick community. Police say 49-year-old Charles Lawson was driving north when he lost control of his truck and hit a telephone pole. The passenger in the truck, 44-year-old Melinda Lawson, died at the scene. The driver was taken to Pineville Hospital for some minor injuries.
You might think it's your lucky day. A letter says you're a winner of a huge amount of money. But it's really a scam, one of the most common frauds out there today. Here's a story of one man who lost just about everything and has more on how you can avoid becoming a victim.
You had just recently been identified as the winner.
At first, Father Mike Ortiz could not believe it. He was a winner, this letter said, of more than $1.5 million from the Publishers Clearinghouse. Right away, he knew how to spend it.
I will establish a scholarship over at the high school where I work, and then I'll also pay for my the mortgage that I have in my car. So I thought, this is great. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
It seemed legit to this former military chaplain, but when he called to claim his prize, they told him he first had to pay taxes on his winnings, $40,000. So the 86-year-old withdrew his life savings, sent off his check, and never heard from them again.
Hook, line, and sinker, I fell.
Sweepstakes scams are a longtime favorite of con artists, and experts say they're only becoming more sophisticated. The bogus offers often look like the real deal, even using legitimate company names. But fraud expert Professor Bill Crease says there are ways to know instantly if it's a fraud.
If you ever inform that you've won a sweepstakes, you've won a lottery, and they're asking for money up front, it is a scam.
Authorities say the people behind these scams are rarely found or arrested. But in Father Mike's case, investigators were able to track down one man involved.
It was a very difficult experience, an embarrassing experience.
He hopes his story will stop others from becoming victims.
A spokesperson for the Publishers Clearinghouse says if you have any doubts about a prize notification, call the company and they can verify if it's legit. As for the man arrested in Father Mike's case, he was convicted and sentenced to 1 year in jail. A change in leadership for Kentucky's Republican Party.
And State Auditor Adam Edlin says he won't be challenging Senator Rand Paul next year. Bill Bryant tells us who is now considering a Senate run in the bottom line.
Good evening. Kentucky's Republican Party has a new chairman. Mac Brown is vice president of Louisville-based Brown-Forman Corporation, and he is also chairman of Governor-elect Matt Bevins' transition team. Bevin is quickly taking the reins of state government and asserting his leadership over the state Republican Party. Senators Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell issued statements of support for Brown. On election night, Bevin led a chant at his victory party of "Take the House," which means Republicans hope to gain control of the state house for the first time since 1921 next year. Bevins says Kentucky voters have given him a mandate for change.
The people of Kentucky have very clearly spoken that they want to chart a different direction. They want something to believe in. They want a vision for this state. They, too, believe that we could be better than we are. I think that is what we saw.
Those comments from Bevin come from my Kentucky Newsmakers interview, which is available on demand at WKYT.com. With the defeat of State Auditor Adam Edlin last week, Kentucky Democrats lost what many consider to be their best chance of challenging Republican Senator Rand Paul's re-election campaign next year. Edlin says he won't be running for office next year. Now some other names are surfacing. Some are pressing radio host Matt Jones to consider the Senate race after being wooed for weeks to run for Congress in central Kentucky. And Coleman Eldridge, who has been active in Democratic politics for years and a top staffer to Governor Steve Beshear, is said to be taking a close look at the race as well. A big weekend for presidential front runners. Republican Donald Trump's appearance on Saturday Night Live gave the show its biggest rating since 2012. It easily beat the season's previous high, which was the night Miley Cyrus hosted and Hillary Clinton made a cameo appearance. But Clinton is getting some positive press of her own. The Des Moines Register ran an article saying unless something blows up in the Democratic race, she has several advantages that are likely to mean victory in the Iowa caucus. Even though Kentucky's filing deadline isn't until late January, there has been a steady stream of office seekers filing early in the Secretary of State's office. There will be a lot of federal and state legislative contests next year, and lots of city council seats also are up for grabs. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Plans for Governor-elect Matt Bevins' inaugural worship service have been set, and it looks like he's breaking from tradition.
Bevins' service will be at Buck Run Baptist Church. That's in Georgetown, on Georgetown Road between Frankfort and Georgetown. Previous governors have held their services at facilities in downtown Frankfort. The invitation-only service will be on December 8th. The church's pastor will deliver the message.